Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Alex and welcome back to the Irate Alex YouTube channel. Now, as you guys know, I haven't exactly been uploading very much lately, and I barely, if at all, live streamed to this channel. I've primarily focused efforts into live streaming on twitch.tv/IrateAlex, shameless shill. Seriously, I do stream 4 times a week, as and when my body allows me to do so. Please come check me out. So, what am I doing? What's this video about? Well, if you're capable of reading, and I assume most of you are, then you can tell that I have been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm being rude or anything, but I told you so, didn't I? Again, donate to the Irate Alex is Always Right Foundation. Except for this time, it didn't really feel that great to be right about something. So for those who aren't in the know, back in February, and yes, I know I can't pronounce that month, of this year, I experienced an event, a neurological event, when I was on my days off from work. Little did I know that I would never be able to get behind the wheel of my car ever again, nor would I ever return to my job ever again. Up until that point, I had been a night support worker. I would do 4 nights on for 11 hours, and I'd do 4 off. During my 4 off, I got up, was video editing at the time. The channel was doing okay back then as well, and I was excited to continue doing what I was doing. But I felt dizzy. I felt dizzier, and it continued to get worse throughout the day. Now, I'd been on ADHD medication, Elvance or Vyvanse, if you are American, for quite some time. And if you know anything about ADHD medication, is that those medications tend to suppress your appetite. This was no different. I'd experienced dizziness before. I put it down to that. However, I forced myself to eat, and it didn't dissipate. But I just continued to think, maybe I'm just having an off day. That night, when I was putting my youngest into bed for wind down time, I suddenly lost the ability to talk correctly. The left side of my face dropped ever so slightly. Not really noticeable. It wasn't noticeable until my friend Trez, who knows way more about these things than I do, having worked in the medical field herself, noticed and then carried out her own investigation, comparing different sides of my face to different periods of time, and the left side of my face had dropped. I couldn't talk properly. I didn't realize I was suffering at the time with dysarthria. Because now, not only was my mouth not working, not necessarily a bad thing, but I was also becoming extremely brain fogged, and suddenly my legs became weak and the muscles in my core became very weak. But I just put it down to something, I'm just having an off day. I put my son to bed, and as I was going down the stairs, my legs began to hurt and became very wibbling and a wobbling, jiggling and a joggling, for lack of a better phrase. I then proceeded to sit my ass down in the living room, and I spoke to my missus. I said to my wife, I think there's something wrong with me. Can you call the NHS helpline, because I can't talk properly, words aren't coming out of my mouth properly, I was unable to pronounce words correctly, and I was unable to think straight. She called the NHS helpline, and they believed that I was having a TIA, also known as a mini-stroke. When the paramedics arrived, they deduced, after making me do push-pull tests and things of that nature, squeezing their hands and whatnot, that I just had an ear infection, would you believe? And they said, well, there's no point going up to the hospital because it's Friday night. I think it was Friday night at the time, and you guys know, any accident and emergency or ER, emergency room, is going to be filled to the brim on a Friday night. So, believing them, I just thought to myself, meh, it's fine. Maybe I just need to sleep. Maybe I'm just run down right now with work and whatnot. So, I slept. But I woke up the next day and I was no better. I was no better at all, in fact. And I was actually worse. My ability to speak had degraded to the point where I was speaking like this and I couldn't really explain things and my accent changed and I didn't really know what was going on and I couldn't really move around properly. But I allowed another day to pass before I decided to actually take myself to the hospital. Now, the surgeon didn't believe me when he stood me up and did all the push-pull tests and said, "Close your eyes, does it feel like you're swaying?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "You're not swaying." And I went, "Well, I feel like I am." But it took some convincing after a few hours of having gone up to the hospital to do a CT scan. They put me in a wheelchair, which was an interesting experience. They took me down to radiology and scanned me. Several hours later, that surgeon, who had been very dismissive of me, came in with his head very much down, not really willing to look at me. And, funny enough, he said MS. He thinks that this is MS, multiple sclerosis. He said that there is a lesion on my brain. There was only one at the time, and it was 1 centimeter in diameter. And he booked me in for an emergency MRI. Now, in the UK, I don't know how they do things in different parts of America, but an emergency MRI means 2 weeks ahead. But I had the first MRI, as most of you know, especially those who were around for me. And I then had a lumbar puncture not long afterwards. I had the dicaster in the MRI. It took 11 weeks to have the lumbar puncture results, aka a spinal tap. The guy who took my spinal fluid, I feel like he was trying to freak me out because he handed me the little jar of spinal fluid. And I've said this once, I've said it a million times. I am peak millennial. The first thing I did is I pulled out my phone and I took a picture. The moment I got out of the hospital, I uploaded it to Instagram. You can't freak me out with things like that. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work like that, all right? So, after having the results, which showed significant increase in protein bands, which is a massive signifier of neuroinflammation, and a second MRI, which I had to bully my neurologist's secretary in order to read the GP's letter, because my neurologist, instead of signing the letter with my results and sending the letter off, just buggered off on holiday for 2 weeks. And I said, look, whilst I've been waiting, I was medically discharged from my job. I lost my job. It was a good job. It was the best job. Like, you guys, you have to understand the gravity that I put into something like that. Because when I left the Royal Navy, I just went through job after job after job after job. And I realised that's quite a strong signifier of ADHD, which of course I am as well. It happens to a lot of people with ADHD. But it was a big deal for me. And it was a job that meant something to me. It was a job where I actually had the opportunity to affect change in people's lives. It meant something to me. And it was snatched from me. Because, well, the NHS either couldn't move fast enough, or COVID really did slow them down. It's whatever. It's done and dusted now. It's done and dusted. It's whatever. This is my new reality. So the secretary read the letter to me, and the letter ended with a lot of gobbledygook, but the end was pretty much, this signifies that Alexander signifies of MS, because the damage to my myelin sheath amongst my spinal column and brain area has increased quite a bit from what I was able to deduce. But now I find myself having to wait again to have this letter explained to me, because I've outright refused to speak to the neurologist. And it's not just because I find him very difficult to understand. He is very, very thick accent, and I have trouble with people with accents, okay? He's also a rude dick. And I personally felt like he gaslit me when he called me the first time to speak about my first MRI results. Saying that a lot of my issues weren't MS related and that a lot of them were psychologically related. Alex was right. Neurologist was wrong. I think I know my own body, sunshine. And I know that seems arrogant. I know that it makes me seem pompous. But when you've been spoken down to by a consultant who was more than happy just to make up a load of crap and also called you 30 minutes late and kept interrupting you when you were trying to explain your symptoms, you tend to get somewhat bitter. And when you lose your job because of the laziness of these people, you tend to get very bitter. So I've cancelled my appointment with him, and I've requested that an MS nurse call me to explain these results, or have my GP call me and explain these results to me, because at least then I won't be spoken to like a bit of crap off the street. My experience during this entire fiasco of 10 months of waiting has been interesting. It has been very, very interesting. I started off using a ski stick to get around, and then I bought myself a walking stick. And then my mum, having been disabled herself now for quite some time, suggested that I get some crutches, and she was actually very nice enough just to straight up buy me some, which, as you can see, they're in the back there. The crutches make life a lot easier for walking around. The weight is just distributed around my body a lot easier, so I'm not leaning to one side as much, which is, it's fair. I mean, here's the thing, I can walk. I can, but not very far. Not before my legs start giving out. And don't get me wrong, I do stretches every damn day, and I try to keep myself as active as I can every damn day. But I tell you what, the symptoms that I've experienced over the last 10 months have changed and evolved as time has gone on. Now, I believe that there are 3 main different types of multiple sclerosis. There's relapse remitting, which is the most common type. I believe that's 8 out of 10. People are often sufferers of that, of which 2/3 of them are women. The second type is secondary progressive MS, which is what relapse remitting often turns into. And it's basically a much nastier version of relapse remitting. See, with relapse remitting, more often than not, is the case wherein you have a neurological event, much like I did back in February, and then you live with temporary disablement, if you will, and the body often recovers, you go back to normal, and then it happens again eventually. With secondary progressive, it's kind of a mix of both as far as I'm able to deduce from descriptions of it, but it generally gets worse and worse and worse. And then there's primary progressive, which seems to be quite equal across the sexes, as far as from what I've read from the MS Society. Maybe it's changed since then, I don't know. But primary progressive is there is no letting up, and it's what my brother actually has, and it just gets worse and worse and worse, basically, guys. So there's often no letting up with it. You don't have relapses and remissions. You just go downhill. Mine has been very peculiar. I've spoken to different people with different types of MS, and as far as I'm aware, I believe I have relapse remitting, although I'm not qualified to make that diagnosis so far. I personally believe it's relapse remitting, and the reason why I believe it's relapse remitting is after having spoken to somebody with that first type, is that they experience, well, they don't really experience true remission. They have the neurological event, they go disabled quite severely for a little while, and then they just kind of stay in this kind of purgatory before it happens again. My situation has been very peculiar. It truly has been very, very peculiar, because I had my neurological event, and then symptoms kept changing, and I experienced what I believe were mini episodes of dysarthria, brain fog, pain throughout my body, falling over, which I did do a few times. And then things changed. And then it was pain. And mainly brain fog. And wibbling and a wobbling. and now it's this really weird thing where I can like never sleep. Or I can't, or I sleep for too long. Or I sleep too much. My body's all over the goddamn place and I have no idea at the moment how to manage it. As best as I've tried, drinking tons of water, stretching, trying to sleep. I'm even off my ADHD medication now, so I can't even blame that. But it's a weird one. It is a weird one. It's been a time of much confusion and aggro. When you have this change in your life, you often mourn. You find yourself in a state of mourning things. And you may lash out, as I have done quite a lot. Some of you have seen it. You've seen me lash out. I've also changed and matured over the last few months as well, to the point of where I just didn't talk about it to anybody, you know? Or I did, but it was very minimal. I didn't speak about missing driving my car, missing my job, losing my job. I didn't speak about the new struggles I faced as a father now, because taking my son to school and picking him up has become something that has primarily fallen on the shoulders of Vanilla Bear, my missus. She's had to do a lot more housework because she got mad. She got mad at me. She thought I was just being lazy until she saw me try to wash the dishes. Not even 5 minutes of being stood up by the sink, scrubbing away, did my body not start shaking violently and overheating to the point where I was sweating and had to bend and subsequently sit on the floor. And then I suppose the reality kind of set in for her at that point. And I do feel for her. I do. Because now I've gone from being a super independent male. I've gone from this really independent guy who drove everywhere, who had his own job, you know, had my own friends, had my own life, and, you know, I'd go to work, I'd come back, I'd take the kids to school, I'd go to sleep for a couple of hours, I'd get up, go get the kids, go back to bed for a little bit, and then I'd go to work and do my thing, and then on my days off, then I would carry a bit more of the weight, and vice versa for Vanilla Bear, for her job too. And I went from all of that, from a very active lifestyle, and I had a very strong core. I was getting there. Like, I used to get back pain from standing up all the time, but I'd lost enough weight and gained enough strength in my core to now be able to stand up straight, completely straight, with no pain whatsoever. And now look at me. I'm just a cripple. But no, the purpose of this video is not to complain. As those of you who interacted with me on my community tab encouraged me to do so, I'd like to start perhaps maybe doing daily vlogs. I can't promise that this is something I will stick to. I also wouldn't want to talk about this all the time. I've barely made any content for a while now. And doing this, again, doing YouTube, doing Twitch, hell, I even started an OnlyFans. Not sexual. It's not. It's relaxing sounds. I even have a Patreon specific to that, so that at least I can work online. I can work for the money, because I don't want pity pennies. I don't want people to look at me and pity me. I'm a grown-ass man, you know, and I do my best to spend my time not complaining and trying to be chipper and trying to have a stiff upper lip and all that jazz, but I find myself being unable to commit to most things. The only thing that I've been able to be consistent with in the last 10 months has been Twitch. And even then, I've had to cancel so many streams because I've been exhausted and I've tried to take a nap. It's like I've climbed into my bed at like 5 in the afternoon or something. and I've laid down and I haven't woken up until 1 or 2 in the morning, and then I'm awake for about 2 or 3 days. My body just does its own thing. And you guys been very understanding. Of course you have. You've been amazing. The broken toys. You've been awesome. You've been there for me. It's been awesome. But the only thing I've managed to commit to has been that, despite wanting to create new shows and things of that nature. I didn't want to come back to start doing YouTube and Twitch and the online thing as a full-time gig again. I didn't. Because when you're an online entertainer, unless you're someone like Markiplier, this shit is stressful. And I do my best not to put all of my eggs in one basket. Which is why I have like 4 YouTube channels. It's why I have a Twitch channel. It's why I have an OnlyFans. It's why I have a SoundCloud. But I haven't been able to make the content that I want because my body and, unfortunately, mental health has taken quite the toll. They say, under the signs and symptoms of multiple sclerosis, they say that mental health is an issue. And they aren't 100% sure whether it's the actual multiple sclerosis or just the effects of having multiple sclerosis, subsequently mourning the loss of your independence to a certain degree. I've had to live with a lot of doubts, a lot of ideas about myself, and a great deal of fear. Because although MS can be very treatable, and you can live a very full, very painless life, for a lot of people do. A lot, especially the people with relapse remitting, the first type, there's a lot of medication for that. A lot of medication. You know, even secondary progressive and primary progressive, there are medications and infusions that manage to help people live the best. They're living my best life, girl. But the thing is I know my physiology. I know that my body does not react to things as it should do. I don't know why. I'm a freak. My family's like that. My mum has neurovasculitis. My brother has primary progressive. Really bad. You know, I look at my brother and I think, Jesus Christ, if I end up like him. Because here's the thing. There's a list of signs and symptoms. And some of those signs and symptoms, I'm not so sure how I would deal with them if they came to pass. And I guess I'm going to have to talk about it. Incontinence. Now, I don't shit and piss myself. Just FYI. I mean, let's be honest. It's not something I don't think I could hide it. You know, you would have seen it on one of my live streams. You just would have. That's it. You would have seen it. But I don't know how well I would deal with something like that. There's also another side of MS that they don't tell you about, I've noticed. A friend of mine who I grew up with, his sister was recently diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And her eyesight is being badly damaged by it. You don't see that under the list in most cases from what I've been able to see. Or maybe it is affecting my eyesight and it's been there this entire time and I just paid no attention. I don't know. But moving forward, I'm trying to be super positive about this, okay, guys? I'm trying to be super positive and being productive and trying to get that content out. But after having experienced everything that I have, between Hater Nation and all that bullshit, and everything else, the people that have walked away from me, the drama that I've had privately and publicly after having dealt with all of that, I'm a jaded bitch. So moving forward, this is my current plan on what I'd like to do. I'd like to do daily videos. Actually, there are things that do interest me that I would like to talk about. But this channel, the way that I see it now, I see it as a dead end. It's a channel that I'd rather just live stream to. But I wouldn't mind. I do like making videos. I do like talking in these videos. And there are things I do like to talk about. So content moving forward is whatever the fuck I feel like making. I'm not putting limitations on myself anymore. I'm not applying stresses to myself anymore. The only limitations I'll be applying to myself on are things that people pay me to do. So if you sign up to my OnlyFans, that is the thing that I'll be doing. That's where I'll be limiting myself creatively anyway, you know, just doing things that I think people want, providing calming, helping you to sleep, grounding, anti-anxiety, even maybe a couple of stories. You know, I even read one of the SCP stories on my OnlyFans recently. And of course there is the Patreon for that as well, and that's primarily how I will look to make my living on the internet. And I will continue to do what I do on Twitch, and I will continue to laugh at the lolcows, and I'll continue uploading Twitch clips to Alex Unhinged, and I'll continue uploading gaming videos to the Lord Bear Plays channel, formerly known as LexiChan. And I've started my new channel now, my passion project. Big thank you to Karen Fernandez, by the way, one of my biggest supporters on this channel, who's not only hashtag Sugar Mama and the good Karen, but has been almost a rock for me in these last couple of months. Much love to Karen, of course. And much love to all of my patrons and channel members, and just people that just continue to come back and watch the Twitch streams and watch the videos and engage with me on Twitter and engage with me in the Discord. Truly, I am, despite everything, despite my pessimistic view towards this channel, I am very, very lucky. Very lucky. And I will never discount that. I've been very lucky to have you guys around, so thank you. I don't know why people do. I don't know why people support me like they do. I don't know. I don't get it. But then again, perception is everything, isn't it? So on this channel, I'll just be talking about whatever the fuck I want, making videos about whatever the fuck I want. I have started a new channel. This is a passion project, and it's only available to those who are of the Tamagotchi tier and above for now. And I'm not gatekeeping it because I'm trying to put it behind a paywall. I'm not. The reason being is I have a history of being an inconsistent douchebag, and I want to make sure that I want to commit to that channel. So I'm going to make 10 videos. I've already made one. I've already uploaded it. There's one unlisted. It's available to all Tamagotchi tiers and above if you're a patron and channel member, and I'm also going to include Twitch subscribers to that as well. After I've made 10 videos and I think to myself that I'd like to continue doing this, then I'll start promoting it to people. Hell, I may even do it before then. If people come to me and ask that to take a look at the passion project, because it involves a green screen, it involves me acting and all that kind of, well, trying to act, then if you want access to it, you know, then perhaps reach out to me and I might give you the link. I don't know. But once again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for watching this video. I don't deserve it, if I'm honest with you. I don't, for many, many reasons. But I'm still very grateful. I will do my best to produce content that I think that you guys will like, and I will continue engaging with you because I've made so many friends amongst you all. And plus, I love this shit. If you have any lolcows for me, we can do some lolcow live streams. I'm a bit bored of G-Man and Shani, you know what I mean? But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are down below as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.